like, so I have a friend in Ontario that I've literally never met, right?
Mm.
And so, like, we talk all the time about soccer, blah, blah, blah. Why not automate that guy? Like,
Winners use drugs.
oh, I did have one. Are INTPs lazy
Yeah, they're supposed to be,
in
but I'm
theory?
not, right?
Yeah.
So the way I look at it, right? And you haven't been on the Discord recently. I actually asked this on the Discord, and that one dude that you kind of butted heads with,
Mm-hmm.
he was saying all of this stuff that
Mm-hmm.
really didn't apply to what I was asking, but
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So yes, anyone with a P in their title is gonna theoretically be less.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's not like an official thing with
Yeah.
Myers Briggs, but I mean, in my experiences, perceiver types tend to be less disciplined.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Disciplined. That makes more sense. But like, I would never say I'm lazy. Like, as far as
Mm.
once I'm doing a project, I'm a very hard worker.
Yeah.
At work, hard worker,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like I've never been fired for being lazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the stories you have told me about the jobs that you've done, it almost seemed like you worked too hard. Like you went the other way. It's like you almost have to be a little lazy because otherwise you're gonna burn out, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, me and my brother learned that the hard way at BP's. We were earning like $200 a week because
Mm.
we would go in, smash our job, go home at noon. We'd only work for 3 hours and we were only getting paid like $6 or something.
Right.
So it wasn't until like 2 months in, we were like, okay, we're only making 200 a fucking, we need to stay there till 5 every day. So we just like dragged our job out like
Yeah.
crazy, right?
Yeah.
I bet there's a million jobs like that where it's like you could just be in and out of your work, right?
Yeah.
Get paid an adequate amount and like peace out. Like you
Right.
don't need to be there, but like everyone, like corporations or whoever's in charge is just like, well, we need them to stay.
Yeah, it's some corporate, 8 hours is the thing that
Yeah.
we can get out of these people, but they can't really get 8 good hours out of anyone,
No.
right?
Not as it's structured right now. Like you do hear of those places that like allow employees to nap and shit like that, but it's like rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, sure, but even like for me napping, it's like if I can manage a nap in the afternoon, there's like a good hour before my brain is functioning back at like full
Do you
tilt,
sleep
right?
for over 30 minutes?
Um, Probably not. I don't ever like set the time. I
Mhm.
know some people say like if you take a nap, you should set your alarm to maximize the effect. Because if you sleep too long, then you'll be tired, stuff like that. I haven't done that. I don't know. Could be like 15 minutes, but still,
Yeah.
it's still my brain. Unless, because for me, it's like every time I wake up, I have a coffee, right? So if I take a nap, it's like I almost need to restart that ritual of having a coffee to get my brain
Oh, okay.
back up and functioning.
Have
Right?
you haven't done a coffee nap?
I've heard of those, but no, no.
Those so legit. Those
Yeah.
do work. Like for me, like because coffee generally puts me to sleep. Like within the first 5 minutes, like for whatever reason, I just want to go to sleep.
Hmm.
And so anytime I've ever had coffee right before a nap, like without fail, every single time when I woke up, I was like, holy shit, like I have so much energy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know if it was just the placebo, but like literally every time.
What I've heard is like the reason why coffee makes some people sleepy is because of blood pressure.
Mm.
So what it does is because it acts as a diuretic, it actually lowers your blood pressure, making you sleepy. Then the caffeine kicks in, constricts your blood vessels, increases your blood pressure. Now you're like back
Hmm.
on top and you have energy, right?
Oh, okay.
That's how I've heard it worked. I don't know if that's true or where I heard that from, but
What was
Quite
I watching
possibly.
yesterday? It was Malcolm Gladwell was on Hot Ones,
Hmm.
and so he was talking about how he suspects that like Tom Brady has a really low heart rate. This isn't
Oh,
in the same
yeah.
like whatever, but like a really low resting heart rate. He figures all the major, you know, sports, all the top performers are really low heart rate people.
Oh, yeah.
The Brett Favres that are playing like with crazy emotion and whatever
Yeah.
are more often going to fail in the big games because you can't rely on emotion constantly, like that really
Yeah. Yeah.
intense.
Well, if you're in good shape, you have a low resting heart rate. Like if I get hard into cycling, I'm in the low 50s, right? Like I remember once I did one of those. My work had a health check thing they would do for us, where some nurses would come in and they
Yeah.
take your vitals and do blood work and stuff for free. When I went into that, my resting heart rate was in the 40s.
Like 40 over what? I can't remember how those work. 40 over what?
No, that you're thinking of blood pressure.
Oh, what are you saying?
Uh,
Oh,
beats
beats per minute.
beats per minute.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
Okay.
like having like most people, 40 beats per minute is like they're sleeping,
Okay.
right? And that was me like wide awake. But that's because again, because I had to fast for that one, so I couldn't have any coffee.
Oh, okay.
So I was like really in good shape then. Also going through like mild caffeine withdrawal.
But if you're fasting, wouldn't like why wouldn't you continue caffeine?
Just for this test, you can't have anything except
Oh,
water,
okay.
right? It was one of those because they were doing like they don't do those anymore because it used to be they would test for blood glucose. Now they use this uh, H HB1C or something test for like diabetes and stuff like that, so that you don't need to fast anymore.
Oh, okay.
But back then you had to uh, not eat anything.
That wouldn't. I've never had to do a fast or anything. Like I remember doing like one of those 24-hour fasts at one point to
Yeah,
like
yeah.
make Christians feel good about not helping in
Oh,
any
yeah.
real way.
Yeah, cool, cool.
I was fucked up by like hour 13. Like I was like, I don't have fat on my body to be burning.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass out and die.
Yeah, but this isn't one of those. This is just don't eat breakfast. Like they're just saying
Oh.
when you get up, don't have anything to eat before the test,
Oh,
right?
okay. It's not like days
No, no,
or yeah.
no. But I have done those. I've done like a 2 day. I did like 2 day fasts a bunch of times, right?
Oh, I would never subject myself to that.
It's hard, but like you get for a 2 day fast, you get 2 weeks of just wonderful energy, right? It's like for me, lunch usually makes me a bit sleepy.
Hmm.
When if I do a 2 day fast for the next 2 weeks, any food that I eat gives me just tons of energy.
Why is that? Do you know the?
I'm guessing it makes you more insulin sensitive.
Hmm.
So your
So you're more
cells
reactive?
your cells will take in the glucose more efficiently.
I think.
But I'm not an expert. I have no clue
Yeah.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that was always Joe Rogan's like thing about intermittent fasting is that it trains your body to
Mm-hmm.
use food better.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. No, I want to start doing that again, but
It's hard to be disciplined with fasting.
yeah, it is really hard.
Like just to be like, oh, it's gonna give me like hour 16. I would be like, fuck, man. I don't
Yeah.
think I care about this.
Right. No, it's super tough. That's why, I mean, the scientists know the health benefits of fasting, right? Like the science is in. The reason why it's not like widely prescribed or advised by doctors is because they just believe no one could possibly stick to it, right?
Right.
Like if you know, like they, for example, a 7 day fast could probably treat schizophrenia, for example, right?
How so?
That I don't know the reasons, but
You're just
there's science to suggest it, right?
interesting. I wonder why.
Yeah, I don't know why. But to doctors that's not a valid therapy for schizophrenia because it would be super hard to not eat for 7 days, right?
Yeah.
So what they're doing now is they want to find these, fasting mimetics, right? These drugs that mimic whatever fasting is doing
Oh, okay.
in your body.
Yeah.
Right?
I wonder if the schizophrenia thing goes along with, like, how if you eat just before bed, you're way more likely to have insane dreams.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, I wonder if there's a connection there
Could be,
somehow.
could be. I don't know the science. I don't really know what causes schizophrenia. I don't think scientists yet know what causes it,
Yeah.
but it has been shown to be beneficial. It's not just that. That's just one of the more extreme examples. There's lots of different reasons to fast, right? Like you can realize pretty significant physiological changes in a short amount of time by fasting. Like if you're an overweight person who wants to lose a lot of weight fast, or,
Yeah.
forgive the pun, right?
Yeah.
That's the way to do it, right?
Well, yeah, except I think for a lot of people, it might trigger their, like, eating disorders if they
Yeah,
try to
oh
do
yeah.
that. I also think a doctor would be reluctant to tell someone to fast if they were overweight because of the climate we're in now.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, they don't want to be getting outed on social media as, like, I went to the doctor and I said I was really unhappy and I was having a hard time breathing, and he said you need to lose weight. You might want to fast a few days.
Yeah.
Like that might not go down well.
I think it's a fine line because I mean the thing is it's like eating disorders, particularly ones where people don't eat, they're so wrapped up in these things that these our social expectations of beauty
Mm-hmm.
and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So in our present moment, it's hard to prescribe not eating as a solution to anything, right?
Do you think it's ever going to swing back? Like, so, like, I learned, like, the other day, like, it used to be back in the day, the smaller your dick was, the better, right?
Yeah.
And now it's switched. But, like, are we going to go back to, like, seeing people that are fat as, like, wealthy and have food like other countries, or?
I don't think so. I mean the thing with like overweight women used to be considered more beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why that was is because most people were starving, right? So an overweight woman showed that they had resources, right? They
Right.
came from like a rich background because they were able to eat consistently, right?
And we're probably never going to have one of those world food shortages that we used to have, right? Because our technology now is like,
Yeah, well, and the other thing now is that because of the way our food systems are, it's like the crappy junk food is what poor people get subjected to. It's what is available to them in
Right.
their communities.
Mhm.
So now poor people are more likely to be overweight. So now we intuitively see like a fit toned person as from a better background, right? Comes down to status in the end, right?
I never actually thought about that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just like the other one is tanned skin, right? So it used to be that tanned skin meant that you had to work outside in the fields, right? So the beauty standard back then was as pale skin as you could possibly have, right?
Right.
So women were putting white powder on themselves and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Now, tan skin means that you can travel in the wintertime or you can afford to go to a tanning salon or things like that, right?
Yeah. Except, I mean, we know because of Western media shit, there's a lot of countries that they get their skin like dyed white now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, well, but there's also they're still in that period of their development, right?
Right.
Like places in like Southeast Asia, that's a thing, right?
Mhm.
Like to have lighter skin, but those nations still have a strong agricultural culture, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, and the same is true for overweight women, right? There's Mauritania, they have like forced feeding camps for young women.
Where?
I think it's Mauritania.
What's that?
It's a country in North Africa,
Okay.
and there's this whole thing. It's a big deal in like
This sounds like something depressing that I never looked into.
yeah. So what happens is because being overweight is considered beautiful in their cultures, and you know the thing for a family when you have a daughter is you got to marry her off, right? So what they do is
Oh,
they put
gross.
their daughters into these like camps where they have to eat like sweetened rice, like a shit ton of it, just to fatten them up so they can. Yeah,
That's
it's
gross.
yeah.
That's
So
gross.
I mean that's the other side of the spectrum from bulimia and anorexia, right? That we have here, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we're not forcing women to starve themselves, but I mean, I guess
culturally.
the messages they're receiving, right?
Yeah.
From media and stuff like that.
See, everybody always says you should go learn about other cultures, but I find that there's a lot of things that I'd rather not know about other cultures. Like why, like like India, for example, like arranged marriages, the fact that it's still like the predominant way most people get married really bothers me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, it's so insane to me. It's like, so your husband hits you and you still don't leave him because
Yeah, that whole system.
it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I mean, some people really defend arranged marriages. They really think it's the better way to go, right?
I know, but I don't even know the argument for why.
I think it's just like
Are you supposed to grow together because you're young at the start?
there's that, right? Like you're both put in this circumstance and you have to sort of learn to love each other. I can't fully represent that position because I don't understand why anyone would say that, but I think I mean maybe they're saying stuff like the whole act of like meeting your future spouse when you're young is just a lot of time and energy and stress that if you're in an arranged marriage you don't have any of that, right?
Right. And it's taking away from your becoming a doctor or a lawyer,
Yeah, exactly.
which is
right.
super
Yeah.
sought after.
Yeah, exactly. You can, yeah, totally. I mean, I suppose maybe I would have been more successful if I had that all just set up for me when I was 20 or something, right?
Yeah.
Here you go.
But I mean, it's that thing of like your quality of life may not be good. You know, like if you
Right.
don't get the right partner, it's like you might become a workaholic and because you just want to avoid your home life. And so like, yeah, you get the academic prestige and the job you know went after, but it's like you now addicted to work and you're desperately unhappy.
True.
You have a shit ton of money, but you can't get divorced still.
Yeah, like I don't want to be part of any culture that they work themselves to that extent, right? Where it actually becomes a social problem, like, oh shit, our population is overworking themselves. Like, fuck that. I don't want to be a part of that
No.
culture, right?
But this is why we're always going to get shit kicked in North America.
Yeah, true.
Because it is that, like, we have way more of like a do what you want. We don't listen to our parents nearly as much, right?
Right.
We're also the ones to immediately ship them off to a nursing home once we
Yeah.
don't, you know, like
I know. Yeah.
we don't revere our old people like other countries generally.
Yeah, but we also have here we have programs, right? Like we have social assistance and free healthcare and stuff like that so that old people aren't so screwed if they don't have children, right?
Right.
In a lot of other countries, that's your retirement plan.
Right, that's true.
Right?
Yeah. That's always been a weird thing to me is that like having a kid is your gateway
Yeah.
to more money. Like
Yeah.
that's so bizarre to me.
I know.
Like let's just have a pile of kids so that at least one of them will hopefully become something that will take care of us.
Yeah, and it's like for me, what I think about is like I'm like we need to go to these countries and change that. We need to say, listen, institute a social security system for your old people because you're having way too many goddamn kids, right? Like we don't need that many people on this planet. Just cut it out, cut it down, take care of your old people so that they don't have that stress about what they're going to do when they're too old to work. And let's all just kind of chill out on the baby making a little, right?
Yeah. But I mean there is the statistics around like once money like
Yeah.
becomes in more whatever, your birth rate goes down by a lot.
Yeah, so we're in this situation where if we want less people, we have to consume more, right?
Yeah.
Like if
I think China though specifically, like I think so their one child policy was like like for sure a failure, right?
Yeah.
Like because people just yeah. Anyways, but now like because more I can't remember what it is. It's just like the average Chinese person is now like at a like they're no longer super impoverished like they used to be.
Right.
And so they're having less kids now as a result, not because the government mandated it, but because they're actually just like, I may, I may not want to have 3 kids because I have enough money and yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and that's what all these people, these um, science statistics people say, is they're like the population of the Earth is going to level off at like whatever, like 10 billion or something, and then it's going to start to fall because the rest of the planet is going to become developed, and they're going to adopt this materialistic culture that we have here in the West, and that's going to become more important to them than having children, right?
Yeah. And we do export. We
Yeah.
do export that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that because like, yes, less people is better, but at the same time, it's like, well, how much? Like we as Westerners, we our footprint on the environment is a lot larger than a somebody in one of those countries, right? So it's like their footprint has to become as big as ours for them
Right.
to stop producing children. Is the planet going to be okay in that scenario as well? Like,
And
I
that's
don't
the whole
know.
thing, right? Like we always have that Western idea of like, you shouldn't be using these kind of factories, blah, blah, blah. But it's
Yeah.
like, that's where they're at in their development. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
who is it to, it's like, we're telling them you can't do this. Like you can't advance basically.
Well,
You're putting out
yeah.
too many greenhouse emissions.
Yeah, I mean, I see that perspective, but at the same time, it's like, who cares? We're in a like we just got through a historic, unprecedented heat wave, right? That we're past the point. Like they missed that party, they missed the fossil fuel party. Now they got to just jump directly to the renewable energy system. We, as the rich countries, we have to help them with that. We got to
Yeah.
provide the
If we
necessary.
subsidize, sure.
Yeah.
But like otherwise they don't have incentive. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
fossil fuel is always going to be cheaper, especially if everyone else is giving it up. Coal
Totally.
prices drop, blah,
Totally.
blah, blah.
Yeah.
Africa's like, sweet, let's do this,
Yeah, I see that happening for sure. Unless we decide, no, we're going to help the whole world develop. And the thing is, it's like, that's fine, right? Like what people don't understand is like, if we as a society go into Africa and help them get to that next stage, that's good for us, right? The number, how do you think like science and technology is going to progress if we have a few extra billion people creating scientists and training their population with universities and all of that, right? Like things are just going to be better for everyone,
But
right?
there's always that argument that if other countries become as wealthy as us, all our shit's going to go way up, right? Like Americans, like they pride themselves on having all these extremely low prices like Walmart, blah, blah,
True.
blah.
Yeah.
You only get those from some oppressed group.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what are we? So we're like we're risking the fate of this planet so that we can have cheaper
Yeah, I'm saying
air fryers
capitalism
and
is
stuff
going
like
to
that.
kill the planet.
Yeah, yeah. So like the way I look at it is like get everyone up to our level and let's work on ways like if we need cheaper manufactured goods, let's work on automation, robots, that sort of thing, right? That's how we're going to get cheaper goods in the next 50 years,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But then that's a whole other problem about do we have UBI, like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of shit. Because it's like automate. I mean, Amazon, right? Like, I don't know if we talked about this, but like they have 150% turnover rate. Did we talk about this?
No, but I did hear about that.
They're
Yeah.
burning through employees, right?
Right, right.
And so I was like, they're going to be the first to truly go full robot. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because
yeah.
it's just like they seemingly do not give a fuck about bad reputation, right? Because everyone continues to still use Amazon,
Yeah.
right? Like I haven't heard one person come to my side and say I'm boycotting Amazon, as much as possible. Yeah.
I know. I would love to, but it's like I need stuff, right?
I
That
know.
they provide, and it's like I should pay more to get it somewhere else, or I should drive down to a store, but I could literally just click
It's
a button.
inconvenient. Yeah.
It's hard to give that up. I'm always 100% on board with automation. I don't think there's ever a situation where we should try to hold back automation, right?
Counterpoint. Have you ever tried to talk to a robot on the phone?
Uh,
Customer
ooh,
service is one area that, holy fuck, when you get an automated thing, rage levels increase.
yeah,
And we're people that like the systems understand. We have
right,
white voices. We
yeah,
don't
yeah,
have accents.
right, true.
I've heard from a lot of people that's just like Siri doesn't understand what the fuck they're saying because they have such a thick Indian accent with their
Yeah.
English.
Yeah, but that'll get better for sure. Like the situations you're talking about, that's not like the cutting edge of what is out there. Like you talk about, did you see that demo way back? I'm surprised it was so long ago now because we haven't really seen it in phones yet. But Google came out with a demo like a few years ago where they were actually able to get their Google Assistant to call up a hairdryer and book an appointment for a person, right? A fully automated system called the hairdresser and was like, hello, I would like to make an appointment for Jesse to come in for a hair
I
appointment.
do remember this.
Yeah, and the person was completely unaware that they were talking to a robot, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, you're right. Everything does get advanced, but I'm just saying that's one area where I definitely always hate it.
Yeah,
For right now, because I can't even conceive of a robot that's going to be so clean, like with their speech and communicate. Because right now it's like, would you like to blah, blah, blah? And then it's just like, you're like, yes. And then it takes a second and then it's like, did you mean? And you're
yeah,
like, you
yeah.
motherfucker, I said the thing I want to do.
Totally, I hate that too. But one thing I'll say, and this is going on record, that part of society, the call center, help desk, customer service, that's going to be one of the first things we automate. Like everyone's talking about self-driving cars, replacing taxis and truck drivers. That's got a ways to go because there's a lot of regulation, a lot of safety questions. There's none of that with automating a call center, right?
Yeah.
As soon as you get the computers to do as good a job, it's going to be a overnight change. It's like, because yeah, no one wants to pay a person to mass call out a sales cold call system, right?
Yeah.
So that, to me, that's the first industry that's going to be hit.
I wonder what percentage of India does call centers.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Like,
I think there's like whole cities.
I bet that must be like, because yeah, that'll be a lot of people losing their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think bots will prank humans?
Um,
Like your phone call thing. It's like, will a bot just decide this is what humans do for fun?
yeah,
I'll call John Smith and be like, hey, did you see that something on your lawn? And the person's like, what's on my lawn? And then the bot's like, I got you, bye.
yeah.
Like-
I mean,
Are we going to get annoyed by robots calling us to prank
I
us?
think that would be awesome. Actually, I'd be like, holy shit! I'd be getting everyone. Yo, look at this! This bot is pranking me right now.
Right,
Be
but-
posting that online.
But
and-
what if they prank you about like your government information? And it's like, I got your SIN number. You like I
Yeah.
imitated a
Well,
government
I mean,
agency.
for sure, bots are going to be scamming people. That
Yeah.
100% is going to happen,
Yeah,
right?
that's gonna be a super problem
Yeah,
because like old people get scammed constantly now.
right.
If bots are able to do it, you can just do it at unprecedented numbers, right? Like,
Yeah, well, they could probably even mimic their grandchild's voice and be like, "Hey, I'm in jail. I need $500 sent to me like right now. It's
It's
an
true.
emergency, right?
People like us are in trouble that like put content out with our voices. I feel like that's always going to backfire at some point.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah,
like, you know, now they have those websites where you can just type in anything you want with people's, like, you know, you can have Barack Obama say something or
yeah,
Eminem and shit.
yeah.
It's quite good. Like, it's quite convincing.
Oh yeah, totally. Well, it won't just be able to mimic our voices. It'll actually be able to say things that we would say,
Right.
right? Like at some point, it'll be able to have a podcast that without us, right? We could just put it on, just
That's true.
generate, right? And it's our voices, our personalities. Like they did,
Oh, yeah.
you know, Sam Harris.
Yep.
There's someone did a bot called Sam Harris, right?
Okay, yeah.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't voice, but it was able to replicate sort of his style of talking through text,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, it
Have you,
did a pretty good job.
yeah. So have you heard of that? There's a company that, if your friend dies, like if one of us died, you can pay this service to use all your texts and all your emails to create a person that you can continue to interact with, even though
Right,
they're
I
dead.
heard about that. Yeah, and that was also a Black Mirror episode too, right?
Was it? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, they did that on Black Mirror. But yeah, they heard that it's coming out. Yeah,
Because
and
I heard the real application, like this woman had lost her fiance. It was something insane. It was like they got engaged and he like died the next day or something. Like it was
Yeah.
like wild. And so they were asked, I think it was This American Life actually. And they were asking her like, why do you do it? Like why, like, is this ever going to end? Or is this like
yeah,
like, you know,
that's the question I have. Yeah, it's like, why do that? Why not just mourn and heal and move on, right?
yeah, I think it must be a mixture of mourning. Like, you know, it's not real, but at the same time, it's still nice to get
Yeah.
random messages from that person. Like, it still hits you with dopamine.
Would you? Is that something you would do if you lost a loved one?
Uh, Probably not. But like,
Yeah.
you know, like, so I have a friend in Ontario that I've literally never met, right? And so like we talk all the time about soccer, blah blah blah. Why not automate that guy? Like, do you know what I mean?
True,
So
yeah.
so like that I would, because it's just like, yeah, it would suck he died, but I'm almost certainly not going to know he died unless I just don't get texts back. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
well, I mean, he doesn't even have to die. You could just automate him anyways. Just
Yeah.
like, you know what? I don't really need to talk to you.
That's true.
I can just get a bot to mimic you. Just fuck off.
It's true. And like, yeah, I mean, what we like this text would just always be talking to me about soccer, and I'd be like, "Fuck yeah,
Yeah.
let's talk about
Yeah,
soccer."
you could just. It's like it maybe wouldn't be as perfect, but you would get quantity over quality, right?
Yeah.
You could just keep chatting with it
Yeah.
nonstop, right?
It does sound pretty, like, it sounded pretty like capable of coming up with questions that person kind
Yeah.
of would ask you. And like, she was kind of freaked out by that. Like, there was a certain question that she was just like, fuck, that's too deep and accurate. Like, it's like
Yeah.
it cut something on her.
Well, I mean, that's honestly, that's one of the reasons why I do this, right? To build that data set so that, you know, someone could replicate me if they wanted to, right?
I know, but I feel like you don't think of the downsides. I immediately start future thinking, and I'm like, fuck, this person's going to get me in trouble and I'm going to go to jail. Meanwhile, this bot is just going to be, you know, taking over my life.
See, I think of more of it like thousands of years from now, right? Like there's archaeologists trying to dig through the mountains of data that our society has produced to sort of get a sense of what we were like, right? And they're like, hey, let's generate all these podcasters. Let's just generate them and actually talk to them, right?
Right.
We use AI to,
Yeah, mine all the data.
right? Yeah.
So I in answer to your question, would I use it with a loved one? I don't know. I haven't had any significant loved one die.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Right.
How about you?
No, I'm in the same boat. I don't know what the mourning process would provoke out of me because I haven't gone through it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Super privileged. Two super privileged dudes.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I've had family members pass. I mean,
But you weren't super connected, or?
no, I'm actually pretty close with my grandpa, and he's 98. It's getting pretty close, so that one will probably be the first time where I actually feel like more complex emotions
Mhm.
regarding somebody's passing. So we'll see.
Don't you think like so my experience with my grandparents passing was like I didn't feel anything. I almost
Yeah.
felt guilty about it because I was just like they've been dead for like 10 years. Do you know what I mean? In their mind, like they're still there, but like
Yeah,
they don't
yeah,
know who I am. They're just waking up and like existing. You know, like their bodies and whatever are still going, but their mind went ages ago.
yeah. If it's full on dementia, I could see that for sure.
Not
Yeah,
dementia. I don't think it's dementia. I don't think they ever had dementia. They're just like it's almost like catatonic. Like you're just they just like sit in a chair for a really long time.
yeah,
Don't really like I there again. This might have been This American Life, but like what are we gonna do with like? Oh, I think it was the argument for what's the like you euthanize yourself,
suicide.
suicide pills. Yeah, like the like. But there's some end of life. It's got a way better term than
Does it?
suicide. It's just like my grandpa committed suicide, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!" It's like, no, he meant to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's not sad.
I don't know. I don't know what the term is, but that's not the case with my grandpa, right? Like we had a conversation just the other day because we were talking about the UFOs, right? And he told me about a story like he was in Afghanistan in the 60s, and he said it's like there was no light pollution, blah blah blah. He told me a whole story how he saw a UFO. God knows what it was, but it's like, I mean, those are cool, interesting things to get out of a a
Yeah.
98-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So
My dad had a similar experience, like in Africa.
Oh, really?
I remember it's the only like crazy thing my dad's ever said
Hmm.
in his entire life. And he's just like, we were in the middle of nowhere, no cities, no lights, like Zambia, whatever, in the 19 whatevers.
yeah,
And there was just like this fucking floating
yeah,
thing with like lights and shit. And it's like, my mind goes to like, well, was it a military
Right.
all this other shit.
Yeah, I mean,
Was it a plane? Who knows?
yeah. Like the United States has been poking around all over this fucking planet for the
Yeah.
last 100 years, right?
Holy shit. I saw a video the other day of how many U.S. military bases are around the world. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're in every country.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
I know.
they pay to have airfields in like every single country.
yeah.
It's nuts.
I know. It's like, isn't that an empire? Like, how is that? How is it that we don't call that an empire
It's
when your
definitely an
military
empire.
is all over the planet?
I was talking to my friend. I think like the military industrial complex really does have an entire hold on their country. I mean, we've talked about this before, but like, was it Roosevelt? Roosevelt said it was going to be the big problem coming up in the future, and we needed to rein it in.
Yeah,
In one of
yeah.
his speeches. But like, think about it. Like, so they've been resisting this like $15 an hour minimum wage thing, right? It's like you have these army recruiters going to fucking high schools and shit and being like, we will pay for your school, we will pay for your everything, you just have to join the army, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you hope you don't get sent to fucking Afghanistan during that time or whatever current war you're in, right?
Right, right.
Like, yeah, to me it seems like a system designed to continue to feed people into something that people may not still believe in.
Yeah, like I don't, you go to these like conservative American types, right? And they're like so against socialism, right? And it's like, do you not realize how much of your economy is driven by your military, right? Like it's $900 billion a year that they're spending on military, and it's crazy. Like I sometimes look for job openings in the States, right? And so the type of programming that I do, I put that into a search, find jobs, pay like double what I'm making, right, down in the States. Every single one of them is like must have an active DoD security clearance.
What's that?
Department of Defense.
Oh, okay.
Like these are all different companies, and they all want a DoD security clearance. It's like, are they all contractors for the American military? Like, how the hell is it that every single job that I see posted for a
Right.
software development role is a military contractor, right? It's crazy.
I was listening to Ari Shafir's podcast. He was talking to, I wish I could remember the comedian, but this guy basically was in, I don't know, it was either Syria or somewhere else, or like an adjacent country. And he basically realized that he's a Canadian, and he realized that he was working for a company that was profiting off war. Like, he didn't realize he was in a situation. He was like, I'm a fucking war profiteer. And at some point he started getting disillusioned. And so he started doing a really bad job and shit. Like, from the inside, he's just like, I want to do it. I'm constantly fucking up orders, shit like that. So that, because apparently like Americans would be trying to undercut the Canadians' supplies kind of thing. It's like a very competitive, Halliburton-y kind of fucking competition.
Makes sense.
But anyways, I just remember thinking like, oh yeah, it's just business. They just literally do business around the world. Like when they start wars, it's just to create more jobs, more wealth, more like
Yeah, like they're basically destroying infrastructure in these countries and then rebuilding it using their contractors, right?
Yeah.
That seems to be the
It's like mafia
system.
shit. It's like you go and burn a building down and then you rebuild it.
Yeah.
Like you're like, do you want that to happen again? No? Okay. Pay us.
Yeah, use
Pay
our
us
guys then.
this every month. And yeah, you're gonna use all our concrete dudes.
Thank you for listening to the Winners Do Drugs podcast. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can reach us at winnersdodrugspodcast@gmail.com, or you can visit our subreddit, Winners Do Drugs Pod, on reddit.com.